Fire away. Let's do it.
Yeah, we got a little Finchy clip after the loss of the Suns.
I thought for a large part of the game we played well. We did a lot of things we talked about, but we got to learn to play all the way through against these types of teams. So.
Chris, is what Phoenix was able to do in the fourth quarter. Does that really kind of show just where they're at in terms of a team that really knows how to win?
For sure, yeah, exactly. They made a lot of shots. They made a couple big ones when they needed them. Like the Shamet pin down three was a big one for sure. I kind of gave them just enough breathing space. Then we let our head get down, and our shot selection wasn't good, so.
We had like 7 or 8 technical fouls in that game. I think before we get into this Wolves conversation, everyone just needs to chill out. A little pair of chill boys might calm everyone down here. Let's stop chirping at the ref, stop chirping at each other. Chill boys, the most comfortable underwear you're going to find on the planet. They're Minnesota-based, but you can find them online, chillboys.com. Bamboo fabric is going to be your friend going forward. This is the official underwear of Mackey and Judd and Purple Daily. Chillboys.com.
This will be the first time in my life that I actually dabble in wearing the long johns in the spring and maybe in some days in summer, boys.
Are you going to go long johns under the basketball shorts and go hoist some threes at the?
And you know what? I don't care if Dawn hates it. I don't care who hates it. The comfort is so, and because it's chill, boys, doesn't make you all bunched up and hot and sweaty.
That's right.
Chillboys.com. So let's just get into this. I hate to do this. Judd, you were there last night soaking in what was an amazing atmosphere at Target Center.
Just great.
And so we can sprinkle that in here too. But because the Timberwolves are out there learning and gaining valuable experience, I hate to come down on them. I think this is all great. Like, it sucks, these 2 losses. As you're a Wolves fan, it just kind of stings. You felt like you had that game last night. You were up 15 points. You were leading going into the fourth quarter. But I feel like the Timberwolves have graduated. This is the first time I think we've ever done this with the Timberwolves.
Now on Mackey and Judd.
This chart makes it as clear as I can to you.
The pie chart of blame.
You want to blame somebody?
Got a pie chart of blame if you guys want.
All right.
Hit it.
Yeah, let's go.
And again, this is all part of the experience. This is all part of the levels that you need to graduate from in the NBA. And I hate to have to come down and bonk them on the head with this pie chart of blame. But we do this for the Vikings after every game. Like, you got to graduate to a certain point before we hit you with the pie chart of blame.
The Wild might start.
We did it for the Wild.
Oh, that's right. We did. See?
I did one for the Wild 2 weeks ago, and they were
Everybody
losing
gets
every
involved.
damn game. Yeah,
Spread it around. Spread around the pie chart love.
So, okay, before we get into this pie chart of blame, how would you characterize that atmosphere last night?
It was absolutely fantastic. It proves again that this is, if you give the people in this town a competitive product, it is very much a basketball town. And that's true if the Gophers are good. It's true if the Wolves are good. That building, at least the lower bowl, was filled, I think, during warm-ups, basically.
Wow.
The atmosphere felt like as close to a playoff-type atmosphere as you could possibly get. And I got a tweet from a guy who said, this sort of feels like 2003-04, and I don't disagree, and here's why. The Tibbs year was fun. Like, that team was pretty good, and that was fun. But there was always sort of a disconnect, it felt like, between the fans and players that didn't really connect it. I think the fan base likes this team, like really likes this entire team. And I think the players feed off that. And so it really felt more to me like the early 2000s where there's a shared feeling, which I don't think in the Butler year you got. It was seriously fantastic, intense, loved it.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy showing again, as we talked about with Doogie. How many teams now? This is the 4th team where he's had some sort of implosion or major blow up or something, and this happened on the sideline last night with Udonis Haslem and Eric Spoelstra, who's one of the best coaches of the last 25 years in the NBA. Yeah, and you're like challenging him to a fight. All right, dude. Yeah. Yep. So I barely even count that season from 4 years ago. I almost isolate it. Like, it was a weird 1 year aberration in Timberwolves history.
And there were fun games. That Denver game was a lot of fun. Yeah, but yeah, I never felt the connection that you now feel between this team and the fan base. And especially in basketball, I think there's something to be said for that.
Absolutely. Yep. So I have 5 pieces of pie to dish out here.
Wow.
Timberwolves
Chef
pie
Mackey.
chart of blame. Yep.
Chef Mackey coming in.
All right.
Little
Let's hear it.
ratatouille.
But half of the pie, 50% of the pie, just to be clear, is going to this. I'm going to start at the top here. The Timberwolves' general lack of experience in big boy games. You can't just get this experience by watching Thursday night matchups on TNT or watching the playoffs from your couch. Like, you're going to have to go on the road against Dallas. You're going to have to play Phoenix, the best team in the NBA. The Suns, and we talked about this when the Suns came back and beat the Wolves the first time they played at home back in December or whatever it was, that when it comes down to the final 10 minutes, the final 5 minutes, it's a close game. The Suns know exactly who they are. They know exactly how they want to score, how they want to dissect you, and they know exactly what they want to take away defensively. Like, there's no sort of feeling it out in those moments for the Suns. They're very meticulous. They're surgical. They get wide open shots. They scheme wide open baskets. And Devin Booker is a freaking assassin. Like, that guy is cold blooded. And I think at some point he's like 25 years old. I think at some point he's going to be regarded as one of the 3 or 4 best players in the NBA. And the Wolves are still trying to figure it out. Like, they get into moments and they're not quite sure. Okay, are we supposed to get it to Cat? Which the answer should generally be yes.
Which they struggled to do last night when Cat was playing.
And he'll get a chunk of pie here in a second too. But then it's like, okay, is D'Lo going to be taking shots here? And D'Lo settled for some long twos that are just sort of uncharacteristic in those moments. So it felt like they didn't know what to go to crack the Suns' defense, which is hard because the Suns are the best team in the NBA. So they almost have to go through these lumps in big boy games to figure out who they are against the best teams in the NBA, unfortunately.
And I think part of an important part of the maturation progress here for this team is the fact that they also need to, because last night was indicative, I think, of how the playoffs are going to be. And when the games become chaotic, the Wolves need to be able to slow themselves and the game down. And right now, their star players get eaten up by that. Like, they get drawn in, and it's fine to be intense. That's fun. But you can't allow it to impact your ultimate goal. And a guy like Towns still very much, and probably Ant too, they struggle to slow the game down and say, okay, the officials are terrible, which is fine. That's going to happen. The Suns are mentally stronger right now, which they certainly probably are. How do we slow this game down? And that's a step that's going to come with time and playing in big games. But you could feel that game start to, in the second half last night, accelerate. And the Wolves were like into it, but they didn't know how to sort of stop it. And the chaos seemed to consume them at some points.
Yep, no, it's true. I mean, it felt like the video game was too fast. Like, that's what it felt like in the second half. All right, slice of pie number 2, 35%. So now we're up to 85% of the pie with these first 2 slices. Karl-Anthony Towns foul trouble. It's not just a last night problem. Cat has the 3rd most fouls of any player in the NBA this season. He averages a full foul more per game than Deandre Ayton does. And last night, it affected them greatly. I mean, that game was the Wolves for the taking after 3 quarters, and then Cat, boom, picks up a 5th foul. And I thought the flagrant was a ridiculously bad call. They didn't lose because of the refs, but there were a couple momentum-changing things that happened in that game, including the flagrant that was called on Karl-Anthony Towns. I mean, come on, guys. What are we doing here? But still, because Cat picked up a foul, like, it was a foul, it shouldn't have been a flagrant, he has to sit. So he winds up playing 30 minutes last night on a night where they probably needed him closer to 40 minutes. So they were missing Cat for 7 or 8, maybe 10 minutes of game time. Meanwhile, Deandre Ayton's out there for whatever it was, 35, 38 minutes, just dumping on everybody because the Wolves don't have enough size when Cat's out to match up with him.
Right.
So the playoffs are going to be more physical. They're going to be chippier. They're going to be more emotional.
Right.
And ultimately, in the end, I didn't like the flagrant, but Cat, in an emotional, chippy, physical playoff-like game, winds up with 5 fouls, sitting on the bench for 10 minutes when he shouldn't have, a technical foul and a flagrant, which was BS. But still, it's like, you gotta you got to pump the brakes on this stuff. You got to stay out there and stay calm.
Ayton was called for 1 foul in the entire game. It was unbelievable. I have no idea how, but 1.
It was
the thing with Cat as well, though, is he was in the first quarter last night, 4-7 from the field, 5 boards, 10 points. He scored 5 points the rest of that game and had 6 more shots. When he is playing, and I get it. Guys like Prince, Noel, like they've got guys that come off the bench and play well. But the fact is this: if you are going to have any chance in a playoff series, ball has to go through Cat more. Like when he's out there, it has to touch his hands. And because he's Cat, he sort of defers at times. Like he doesn't say, like he's gotten more aggressive towards opponents, which is great. But I don't see the give me the ball look. And like last night, when he's playing, you need that. You desperately need that. And so I really think that he needs to try and trim away from his foul troubles, but perhaps he could expend what he trims away from that in an energy to say, I got to have the ball more, guys.
And even like, despite some of this stuff, I think if he's just out there for an extra 7 minutes, or let's call it an extra 5 minutes even in the fourth quarter, because he probably would have rested for 2 minutes. I don't know if they win, but like that game is much different if he's out there for 5 extra minutes in the fourth quarter. Which brings me to slice of pie number 3 here.
The Rock knows how you feel about pie.
5% of the blame goes to D'Lo. D'Lo was terrible last night.
Yeah, he had a terrible game.
He was 3 for 9. He was 0 for 5 from downtown. He took some questionable shots down the stretch. And meanwhile, on the other side, Devin Booker's out there just executing everything in the fourth quarter. Devin Booker in the fourth quarter was perfect from the field and the free throw line, and sank a couple shots and then chirped at the Wolves fans in the front couple rows.
I was about to say that was the best part.
You used some very questionable language.
Yeah, well, he bottled it up for 2 hours, and then all of a sudden he unleashed. The Wolves kind of did the opposite. The Wolves kind of chirped, and then had to sit in it for the last 5 or 10 minutes.
And I didn't feel like Booker overall had a great game. Like he turned it on, which is impressive. Like that's what ideally in the last quarter, that's what you want. D'Lo. Like you don't need to have a great game to have a great box score. And the Suns between Ayton and Booker, 22 fourth quarter points.
Yeah.
Like that's it right there. 22 points.
Yep. The fourth piece of pie here.
The Rock knows how you feel about pie.
5%. The lack of size to combat Deandre Ayton and just like the Suns front court with everyone. JaVale McGee, who's not like a huge scoring threat. But these are – I'm kind of shocked that the Wolves were able to even up the rebounding edge statistically, because there were some times where possessions were being kept alive, but they couldn't stop Ayton. And you look at if Cat's sitting out especially, Jared Vanderbilt and Naz Reid look like houseplants next to DeAndre Ayton. And those guys are like 6'10" or whatever.
Yes.
So that's something in the offseason now. They're just going to need a bigger body to come in, whether Cat is in foul trouble or not, to just keep guys like that in check. And there's not many guys like that because he's DeAndre Ayton.
Right.
But he did whatever he wanted on the court last night.
And that's a playoff guy. Like you could justify trying to get a guy to play against an Ayton based on this. If you want to advance in the playoffs eventually, you're going to have that. Like that presence has to exist. And right now it doesn't. And you also had the problem of, as I was reading this morning in Krasinski's piece, the high wall defense lands at times Cat on Ayton. And in the fourth quarter games, you're not going to win that matchup too much.
No, it's tough.
I mean, that gets exposed.
Then there's the whole I think the Suns are going to win the title. I agree with Doogie. So, that's the team that you're ultimately comparing yourselves to. So that's what you saw last night, are like the deficiencies between a team that's probably going to compete for a championship and where the Wolves are at. And the Wolves are still a couple steps beneath that on the ladder here. But this next one should be the easiest one to correct. My fifth and final slice of pie.
The Rock knows how you feel about pie.
Goes to Anthony Edwards, specifically converting at the rim. So I went and found, you watch these games and you're like, God, he's like
Finch,
kind of a spaz at the rim.
Yeah, Finch.
How does he miss shots at the? This dude is like an athletic house, and he can get to the rim whenever and however he wants, but then it's like a spaz fest when he's up there, right? He can't play through contact. So I looked this up. Anthony Edwards missed 4 more shots inside the restricted area last night. I think he was like 2 for 6 inside the restricted area. And he ranks 150th in the NBA in point-blank inside 3 feet field goal percentage. Mm-hmm. So he shoots like 64% inside 3 feet. The best players in the NBA are 75-80%. So the guys like Giannis, like Devin Booker is like 75% at the rim. So he's got to get better. And last night, so you take those 4 missed shots inside the restricted area. Those are all layups or dunks. I mean, that's 8 extra points and maybe a couple and ones if you convert, right? Yeah. And I think he got to the free throw line a couple times on close ones too, but it's just like that. I don't know what he needs to do this offseason, but hire some people with some punching bags or something to just hammer you as you drive to the hoop and convert at a higher rate. It's a big problem.
So Finch was asked about that exact thing post-game last night and directly said he gets too cute at times. He said those should be dunks. The problem is he's trying to make a nice play instead of saying screw it, because to your point, Phil, if he just goes for dunks, he's almost certainly going to get fouled much of the time. Ant then post-game said, I'm a little beat up too. So like this could have to do with his knees and such, but the statistical, what you just read, I think him being beat up would, if he was like the last 2 weeks were bad, that makes more sense. This is a season-long problem. So I think Finch is right. And again, this comes to being assertive and not trying to make a cute play. Just take the contact, take the foul, make the free throws. I think you're exactly right. And the fact that Finch answered it the way he did clearly indicates it's annoying because you are essentially punting free points.
Yeah, and like Tatum and Brown, the Celtics wing players, I looked this up too. I mean, you can't really compare his shooting percentage at the rim to the big guys who are just getting even more dunks, but like to other wing players, the best wing players in the league, those Celtics guys, Devin Booker, it's all 75-80% at the rim. Yep. So when you look at Ant Edwards, would you look at him and say, "Oh, he's really bad at converting at the rim"? You'd say, "No, he should be amazing at converting at the rim."
Right.
So, anyways.
And Finch also talked about the fact that the problem lies in Ant's half court game. So if he's got a breakaway dunk, he's fine. Because it's a splashy dunk. The problem is in the half court is where he goes for a layup or tries to make a nice play, and so that point is just go to the basket no matter what.
Yeah. So there it is. That's the pie chart of blame.
That's a major regular season pie chart. That's very
things
impressive.
To work on there.
That's a very Zolgadian 5 parts from Macadac.
Lack of experience in big boy games, foul trouble. D'Lo's got to be better. Just lack of size, and then Ant Edwards at the rim. And that pie chart was presented by our friends at Mayo Clinic. So, guys, if you are, maybe you're not an NBA caliber player, but the good news is that even if you're a weekend warrior sort of, you have to go to the gym and get some shots up or whatever, you can be seen by the same care team that the pros trust at Mayo Clinic. The expert care is offered to all levels of athletes, from elite to the everyday, just a guy who wants to hoist up some jump shots on the weekend. Located in the Mayo Clinic Square, right across from Target Center and First Ave, underground parking. Request an appointment at sportsmedicine.mayoclinic.org, sportsmedicine.mayoclinic.org. Are we? Do we have? I know we got to get to.
We do.
To Thor here.
We good? We can run through some quick old tweets exposed here. Just quick edition.
Oh goody.
Oh goody. Judd and I are in lockstep, and Phil's isn't necessarily crazy damning. I just think it's worth bringing up as we close the show. So let's start. I'm going to self-report to start here because it ties in good with Judd's tweet as well. No, do not do that. Okay. My laptop being fun. All right. March 8th, 2021.
Okay. I was going to say,
we're okay.
We get to miss old tweets exposed. It's too bad.
As it stands right now, Kakinen ranking among save percentage via natural stat trick. 5-on-5, he's 5th. Goals saved above average, he's 6th. High danger 7. Save percentage, he's 6th. The Wild have their number 1 goaltender.
When was this?
March 8th, 2011. There you go. There's the date.
2021.
2021. Sorry. Yeah, not 2020.
Yeah, that's just when we thought that he was playing great. We thought he was going to play in the playoffs. your spelling dex is impeccable here, and you use the
Shocking.
comma right.
Thank you.
Who sent
one
this
of your-
tweet for you?
Yeah,
Me.
dude, that's really
Shockingly.
good. The folks,
Thank
the
you.
comma folks.
Thank you.
St. Cloud
Thank
State,
you.
way to go Huskies.
Go Huskies, baby. Go Huskies.
I mean,
Nice
that's
work.
a pretty good leader in the clubhouse there. Yeah, you had him
I got
as
a
the
bad
number one
feeling I'm
goalie,
gonna-
and now he's out of the frame.
I got a bad feeling about what we're about to see
Well,
next.
On the same date, just 20 minutes later, the Wild expected Cam Talbot to be their number one goalie when the season started.
wrote about it,
then
yeah.
Capo Kakkonen
I'm
came
leading.
along.
Look at you
Same
guys.
date,
I'm taking the lead. That's a
10:50.
Zolgad column.
Wow, you guys.
PM.
He was playing great at the time, but yes,
Cool,
thank you.
calm, and collected.
Collected.
That's right. He is.
Capo.
I am going to
Stud.
take the lead from Declan right there because I backed up my tweet with a column. Bingo.
And I had a good comma, and that way
you had a
we're
great
okay.
comma. You had a
Thank you.
great comma. That's a
All right,
folks.
this is a little audiogram from Phil talking about the Josh Donaldson signing and comparing it to the Vikings in a way. Let's play this.
Okay, here's my question: is it just that the Twins fans have this the Twins have this pocket of just negative, angry fans that no matter what they do, it's not good enough, or is it like if you go back to the 1998 Vikings draft, for instance, if Twitter existed and if all of the different media that we have now existed, the Vikings had two of the best receivers in the NFL in Jake Reed and Chris Carter, and they drafted Randy Moss. Like, I kind of compare it to that. You already got an amazing lineup, but you put this dude on top of it, and now it's a game-changing lineup. The Vikings added Randy Moss to that offensive nucleus, and it goes from, that's a really good offense with good receivers to, no, like, this is next level better than anybody else can field. That's the best comparison that I can. 20 years later, different sport, but it's not just, well, you didn't address the pitching need and you added to, no, you took a really, really good offense and pushed it over the top in a way that teams are going to get beat 10 runs every single night by this offense. It's going to be ridiculous.
That is some Twins Kool-Aid right there.
Oh yeah, just this pocket of negative fans, and then we turned into that exact.
I know. 1 year later. Well, let me find this. So where did they rank in runs per game in 2020? That wasn't good.
Donaldson was hurt.
Phil,
for much
I
of the
think
year
that
anyway.
They were like 20th.
Yeah.
This-
I think Phil wins, Declan. I'm giving
This
Phil the
clip
victory.
too was before the 2020 season started, so it was like on the heels of the signing of Josh Donaldson.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think he wins.
I mean, in theory, they took the best home run hitting offense ever, and they added Josh Donaldson to it.
In theory, Kakkonen was playing great at the time, so
In
why wouldn't he
theory,
play great now?
right.
In theory, there's a lot of things that are true. In theory, if they'd stopped the Wolves game after 3 quarters last night.
In theory. All right, well, there it is. Old tweets exposed. When are you guys going to admit that you were wrong? Apparently every day on the show now.
You know what?
We have to cut one of these segments.
I really enjoyed the Wolves pie chart. I would not be adverse to more Macadac-filled pie charts.
Oh, happy to. I
I
think
enjoyed that exercise.
I'll get you guys
I
a pie chart of praise after they beat the Mavericks
gotta
at
be
home later
honest.
this week.
I enjoyed that
Okay.
one. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Nice work.
Write it down.
Whoops.
You like writing
Sorry.
things down.
It's the wrong button.
The Rock knows how you feel about
Wrong
pie.
again.
There we go.
Wrong again.
Wrong
On a
again,
segment we're
Mackey.
wrong. Last place.
Oh, man. All right. Tomorrow, Feedback Friday. So get your comments, questions, concerns, critiques into the Score North app, and we will sift through them on the show tomorrow. And over on Purple Daily today, our guy Thor Nystrom from NBC Sports Edge
Nice.
and fellow football fanatic will break down Vikings draft possibilities with us. I put out a tweet that people are freaking out here. So I just the competitive rebuild thing doesn't make sense to me. I don't really get it. So you're trying to avoid mediocrity, and you're going to do a competitive rebuild.
Oh, and you tweeted about your not understanding it?
And I think like people are, why don't you just support the new front office? I mean, I think he's a smart guy, but like, I don't understand. Competitive rebuild makes no sense.
Why doesn't a guy who does a sports talk show just support what's going on? There's another place for that, and it ain't Score North.
Yeah, we're here to poke and prod and provide critical analysis and drink beer. That's pretty much what we're here to do. Anyhow, all right, let's get to Purple Daily. We'll see you guys tomorrow on Mackey and Judd.